Hello, welcome to ITV Asia. My name is Claire Chen, your host of Luxury Marketing in China. Today, we have a very unique opportunity to invite the previous CEO of Publicis China and also CEO of Artica China, Mr. Neil Hardwick, to be our guest today. Hi, Neil.
Hi there, how are you doing?
Good. Thank you for coming to our program. I just did a brief introduction about you, but I believe you can do a better job than me. So will you?
I'd like to think so, but you can start if you want.
Yeah. So would you like to introduce a brief introduction about yourself and let our audience know your background and how you've been in China?
I've been in China 9 years in marketing and entertainment. First as the CEO of Saatchi, based in Taiwan. And then the CEO of Publicis, based in Shanghai, but working across all of China. And then for the last year and a half as the CEO of Artica Group, which is entertainment, nightclub, restaurant, bar conglomerate.
When you was in the Publicis in China, what would be your major client? Will you share with some of your success story in Publicis?
Well, I think we had different clients in each of the different offices. The major clients up in Beijing were brands such as Cadbury, Hewlett-Packard was very substantial. Across China we had the Carrefour business, the L'Oreal business. So a real mixture, everything from luxury brands to FMCG to specialist areas like computing. We also had oil business with Petronas down in Guangzhou. So a real selection of different types of clients.
I knew you working in like London, Taiwan, China, all these different markets. So what would you consider like the major difference or the consumer insight difference in terms of luxury marketing in China?
Firstly, I think overall there are far fewer differences than people imagine. Certainly in marketing and advertising, many of the things that you would normally do, you would do exactly the same across all markets.
Yeah.
So one of the biggest differences is that there are no differences. Now there are individual consumption differences, perception differences, behavioural differences, purchasing differences, and also things like price elasticity will change from market to market. But I think again, what I found is that marketers who understood their brands first and foremost, if they understood their brands and really knew what they were doing with their brands, it was much easier for them to adapt to the differences in the market by market. It was the brands that didn't quite know really what they were going to stand for in the first place that found it more difficult to adapt to the markets. So I think that there are significant differences in little areas, but again, nothing that a marketer wouldn't understand pretty quickly by getting out there and talking to consumers, to watching consumers use their products, how they use it, how they purchase it, who purchase it. So again, the basic stuff that any marketer should do anyway had to be done in different markets. And I actually found that certainly in some of the markets where people were new into the market, the marketers themselves and the agencies, they did more of the fundamental stuff that every marketer should be doing repeatedly in their own markets, but either through pure momentum or laziness or lack of focus. People said, oh, well, we did that type of survey. We did a U&A survey 5 years ago. We know how people use our product. Well, they probably didn't because people change very rapidly. So the great thing about developing markets is that people generally spent more time and energy understanding the basics of who the consumer was, how they were using the product, and things like that.
Yeah. We know after the past, you actually have a kind of major career move from advertising world to entertainment world. And what was the major reason behind for you to have a big jump?
Midlife crisis. I mean, I got to a certain point in my life and I was either going to buy a Porsche and drive around with the top off or go and start working in nightclubs. I decided to work in nightclubs. No, actually, it's not such a significant shift as you would imagine. I would reckon that about 90% of my job was very similar, running an entertainment group to a communications group. As a CEO, most of my work is based on people, on the consumer, on understanding marketing, obviously on the finance and the corporate structure. And again, there are very similar things. If your business is a brand, it doesn't matter really which industry it's in, which is why agencies can work across so many different clients. As long as you understand the fundamentals of what does your brand stand for, how does it want to appear to the consumer, which consumers is it going to target and what's its deliverables to those consumers, then again there are so many similarities.
Yeah. So from that you're very experienced in China and across Asia, and what would you advise when it's international luxury brand want to enter the China market?
Without being too flippant, I would say that anybody that wants to enter the market should have been here 20 years ago. The market is not new anymore, and if you're a serious luxury brand, what have you been doing for not being here? There's been a lot of top-end consumption in China for many years. So if you are coming in fresh, you need to be different and find a niche where someone else isn't already there, or you've got to be very, very confident about beating the people that are already established within that niche. Now, it doesn't mean it's not possible. The luxury market in China is developing very fast, and I think one of the key things is that it's the evolution of the market has gone on a pace. So the brands that did come in early days have had to adapt and improve and reassess their offering. And we've seen that with a lot of brands who've adapted to the different realities of the China market. And also brands that have adapted to how the China market has matured very rapidly. I mean, even in the space of the last 6-7 years, the luxury brand market here is different than it was before. And the other thing I think is really important for people to understand that the luxury market is a very easy term, but I think these days you really have to understand where you are in terms of the segment within the luxury market. Are you really top end, or are you effectively mass luxury? There's a lot of luxury brands that are doing exceedingly well on the sort of the volume tier just below extreme luxury.
But according to a lot of research, is saying the China luxury market will still increase, let's say 10% every year till 2020. What do you think about this forecast, and what's your view on this?
Well, I would say I expect that to happen. In fact, I think those numbers are fairly accurate. But again, as a market increases, the ability to segment within that market also increases and becomes actually fundamentally important. So anybody that thinks the China luxury market is one homogenous bunch of people, a bunch of consumers, is going to be found out very quickly. So I think that as the market expands, brands have to say, okay, where do we fit within this expanded luxury market? Can we work in 2 or 3 segments within this? Do we offer, for example, if you're a jewelry brand, do you offer a sort of mass luxury brand? Do you offer a top-end luxury brand? Do you do different stores? Do you do different locations? How do you segment your offering? Because again, within that segment of luxury, there's going to be a very top-end group who are super, super rich. And you've seen that in other countries as well. And those super rich people want to be clearly differentiated from the mass luxury, as mass do from the upper middle class, as they do from the middle class, from the working class, etc. So again, there will be increasing segmentation, and brands are going to have to also understand, what happens to them as they become more popular. I mean, just an example I can think off the top of my head. If you look at Porsche, I mean, Porsche in China is basically luxury 4x4 cars. Because there's very, very few Porsche sports cars. It's all Porsche Cayenne, which are, luxury 4x4s. So because of the sales in China, the way the brand is being perceived by consumers of luxury brands, Porsche as a top-end sports car manufacturer is misunderstood. So again, you need to be careful about, as your brand succeeds, where it takes itself, or whether you can take it somewhere where you want it to go, or whether you just let the market take it where it wants to be.
Yes. So I know you have now a new position as the CEO for WPP Group in Russia. Congratulations. So before the end of this interview, there's another is more like kind of private question. Not very private, but what would be your definition of luxury for yourself? Right? What would be your definition of luxury? Yes.
I think definition of luxury for me is being able to afford the items I want when I want them. And many of the items I consume are not really luxurious. In fact, the most luxurious thing I've bought recently is a new bicycle. It happened to be very expensive, bicycle that was high performance, very lightweight, and it cost more money than most bikes do. So for me, that was luxury. I think individuals will define and save for the luxury that they feel is appropriate for them. And that's why, as I say, we need to be very careful when we just loosely bandy the term luxury around. Different individuals will have different interpretations of luxury, and there are products that working class people consider to be luxuries. We've done a lot of research in China over the years, and there are a lot of young middle class people, especially women, who will save up a significant proportion of their salary on what they consider to be a luxury. We found that many women were spending 15 to 20% of their take home on cosmetics. Now, to them, that was absolutely the pinnacle of luxury, and it was a massive proportion of their disposable income being spent on something that was not fundamentally necessary. And it was the one area where these people were buying real brands, where they were going out and saying, I'm not prepared to buy a fake, I'm not prepared to buy a secondary product, I want the real McCoy products. Yeah. So what I describe, for me, luxury is a very personal thing, and I think luxury is for everybody a very personal thing. Yes. However, one thing we do need to understand in China is that that personal knowledge is often very underdeveloped. People don't have the same exposure, or haven't had the same exposure to all the magazines, the brands, the TV programs. So when people look at luxury, they tend to be more likely to follow the herd. And then that's what we've seen so far in China. The big Western luxury brands have come in, and the new wealthy people in China have gone, this is a badge of luxury. This whiskey is a badge of luxury. This handbag, this car, this golf club, this even playing golf is a sign of luxury.
Yes.
So, and they may not be the things that these people particularly want to do, but they see that as
they follow
a trend, and it's a way of showing that they've reached a certain level. Yeah. Absolutely. So it's a badge of status, which of course is exactly what a brand is anyway. Yes. But I think the key thing there is that as those consumers develop, and as the newer rich buy into this luxury lifestyle, they may be more discerning. They may have more time to say, okay, well, everybody's doing that. Everybody's zigging, so I want to zag. That will show me that I am not only my status, but it will show my status as a slightly different person from following the crowd. And again, that I think is when you talk about new entrants in the market or existing people in the market, that is where the new opportunities may well be. There'll still be opportunities with the people who want to buy the same old status symbols, but I think a lot of the new people will be saying, luxury is a personal thing. Exactly. And I will buy luxury that reflects my lifestyle, reflects who I am. And some of those luxuries may not be very expensive, but they will still be luxuries. And that's kind of how I buy my luxuries, is not just on big ticket items, it's on things that I think are, the items I feel were luxurious for me.
Yeah, everyone has to develop their own luxury thing and luxury taste.
Well, one certainly hopes so.
Well, thank you for coming to our program and share your experience of luxury marketing in China. Thank you for watching ITV Asia, and see you next time.
And thank you for watching me, not your host, Neil Hardwick. Thank you.